All right, let's dive into the best bets of the week. Scotty did leave me his best bets, so we're gonna dive into his. This week, by the way, both Scotty and I are just on the same track this year. Very even. It's gonna take. I think this might be the week we both break out. He's 7-12-1. I'm 8-12-0. So right there, he has that one tie that's kind of throwing him off, that one push. But this week, he's got Houston plus 1.5. He likes Houston. Actually, I did take. Well, I would be on the other side. I thought I promise you I had the Saints locked in as one of my favorites. Best bets of the week, but I changed it. I did change it. I remember that. I have, or he has Houston plus 1.5. He likes Houston to get that dub against the Saints. I'm on the opposite side if I had to pick a side from my previous reasons that I just discussed a little bit earlier. He likes Minnesota minus 2.5. You know, Minnesota loves playing close games. A lot of talk in Minnesota with all the Kirk Cousins, whether or not he's getting traded. They're like, oh, how do you feel about this? He's like, he's neither like upset about it or like looking forward to what happens or what. He's just like, whatever happens. Going with the flow. But Scotty likes them to win here at minus 2.5 in their matchup. So by the way, they have the Chicago Bears. That's another interesting one. That is a game that I have on my side. So I'll get to that here in a second. But Minnesota minus 2.5. Cleveland plus 6.5. So he likes the Cleveland side on that one. He thinks that Cleveland's going to keep this one close. And for a lot of the reasons that I mentioned earlier, it's going to be a low scoring game. Probably if you're looking at, I think actually it dropped. It dropped even further. It's at 37. It's not even 37.5 anymore. 37. Still being bet down. But what do you do in close games that are low scoring? You take the underdog with a big spread. And that's what he's doing. Cleveland plus 6.5 against San Francisco. I didn't like it enough to make it a bet of the week, but I could see the reasoning why he would take Cleveland. And then we both have Indianapolis plus 4.5 for the same reasons we talked about earlier, with Jacksonville coming back home from London after staying over there 2 weeks, living out of their bags, just not being settled, coming back home, being distracted by the families, isn't that weird to say? Oh yeah, the families are a distraction because they want to spend time with them. Like, bruh, come on, man, what are we doing? Who needs a family? Play football. That's how you make your money. It's a trap. Yeah, so I think that there's going to be some really jet lag, everything else settling back in. That's going to be a tough go, but that's a lock so far. Hey, Double Dog, thank you for the 14 months. Let's go. You know, another thing, anytime I'm like on stream and I'm solo, I feel like I pop a drink and I'm like, I never have a chance to drink it. Hey, it's what happens. You just talk too much. Too much going on. So up until this point, the trend has been, if Scotty and I both agree on a pick of the week, bet the other side as hard as you can. You'll be making some good money. That wasn't the case last year. That's the case this year. So there you go. Do with that information what you will. But we both like Indy plus 4.5. On the other side, I have a couple teasers, one under, and I have the Indy plus 4.5. So we already talked about Indy. Chicago's going to be another game along with so Chicago plays Minnesota. Right now, 2.5 point spread as Scotty has the Minnesota Vikings, which I love. I think the Minnesota Vikings can win that game by a field goal. The issue I have in that one is it's not going to be, we talked about the Midwest having issues with weather. Chicago's another one that's going to have an issue with the weather, which is why this game is a little bit lower. I have this under 46.5. I have this a lower scoring game, which is why I have Chicago plus 8.5. We all know Vikings love close games. Chicago, Minnesota, bad weather. You're missing Justin Jefferson on the Minnesota side, so that's going to take away some versatility on that offense and where they could throw the ball and where the Chicago defense can focus. So that being said, I think the Minnesota Vikings struggle to score a little bit. I think Chicago maybe doesn't go crazy, but they're able to move the ball in some bad weather just on the ground. This one stays close. I teased up the Chicago Bears plus 8.5, along with teasing Houston up to 7.5. So that both of those, again, in a teaser, have to hit. Make sure you guys if you're doing teasers, that's how that works. So if Chicago covers but Houston doesn't, it's a loss. Indianapolis and Jacksonville. We talked a lot about that one as well. Given the circumstances with Jacksonville and Indianapolis not having their top quarterback, there's going to be problems scoring the football in this one, I think. So 46.5 seems a little bit large. I think this should be around 44.5 in that range. So I will take the under 46.5. Points are going to be at a premium, and I don't think they even get to 46.5. Finally, we have Washington and LA Chargers on my teaser leg at the bottom there. So the Washington Commanders playing the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons like the grind out games as well. Low over under 42.5. This one stays within, I think, a touchdown, and I'll get the extra 1.5 on top of it. So the Washington has been oddly competitive in some games and just terrible in others. Atlanta is just a team that they just don't take advantage of games when they are able to. They're 1-5 in their last, or 1-4 in their last 5 against the spread. I don't think they cover this one. Commanders cover by 8.5, and then the Chargers, close game with the Cowboys. They could potentially win that game outright. I like the Chargers to beat the Cowboys potentially in a game, but I'll take the extra 8.5 just to be safe, teasing them up from 2.5. Let's get to the chat here. I take pride in being 4-0 in our contest this past week. Hey, Doc, you're crushing, man. Justin Jefferson is out. Correct. Yep. Vikings don't love close games this year. Nick, I was saying it preseason. When we were doing our team previews, our division previews. I was like, it's not sustainable for a team to win that many close games every single year, or as often and frequently as the Vikings did. And sure enough, between their playoff game last year and the first 3 weeks this year, they lost all one possession games. And I was like, there you go. I mean, it's exactly what we predicted from the beginning of the season. So they're on the opposite end. They're coming back to they're regressing to the mean, right? That's whenever you see outlying trends, it's always going to come back down to the average. Always. Give me the Bears. They've been scoring points last 2 games. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. In a sloppy, rainy, cold game. I think it's gonna be in the low 50s, rainy, nasty. So I say 50s is cold. It's not. I live in Colorado. It's fine. But Chicago, I don't know. It might get a little sloppy up there. Let's see what else. By the way, did I see the Avs were up 1-0? Go Avs. Let's go. So all right, there you go. Those were our best bets of the week. Oh, Brendan, you like just Chicago winning straight up. No spread. I don't know if I could do that. That's probably not on my radar.